Coming up on Smart Tech today, Matthew Cassinelli and I have a lot of news to talk about. It starts with an update to Apple Maps, where we have a conversation about the mapping services and how often they update them anyway. We talk about the state of camera surveillance in the United States, as well as Twitter setting a new record for app downloads. That doesn't come as a surprise to us. Plus, apps and services you can use to watch shows and movies with friends, using the Hue dimmer switch as a way to add everyone to your smart home and make them feel comfortable, before we round things out with our picks of the week. And I talk about this. Yes, you're going to want to check it out. You're going to want to hear about this. All of that and more coming up on Smart Tech Today. Smart Tech Today is brought to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? Well, LastPass can ensure that they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether they're working in the office or remote. Visit LastPass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by Casper. Casper is a sleep brand that makes expertly designed products to help you get your best rest one night at a time. Get $100 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/STT and using promo code STT at checkout. And by ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is an app that reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers so your ISP can't see the sites you visit. For 3 extra months free with a 1-year package, go to expressvpn.com/STT. Welcome to Smart Tech Today, where we explain the exciting, the dynamic, and the sometimes confusing subject that is the Internet of Things. I am Mikah Sargent.
And I am Matthew Cassinelli.
Yes, you are.
Oh,
and
yes.
the drums play and the horns blow, and that is how we start the show this week. I don't know. Yeah, that's how we're doing it. We've got a lot to cover in the news and more, so I think we should just get right into it. Don't know if you heard, but in Washington, D.C., I don't know why they say imagery in Washington, because isn't it? It's Washington, D.C., not Washington. But anyway, yeah. I don't know if you heard, but the mayor of D.C. Did this brilliant, beautiful, wonderful thing and had Black Lives Matter painted on the street that leads up to the White House. And along with that, renamed the plaza to Black Lives Matter Plaza. Now, of course, when you think about the way that Google Maps and Apple Maps and the different map services work, those are typically not updated constantly. I mean, they're updated regularly, but they're not updated constantly. It's not a live feed in most cases. And so I imagine that if you had gone to the Maps app and looked at this area, Black Lives Matter Plaza, you would not have seen Black Lives Matter. But now it's available to see via Apple Maps if you so choose. I'm curious how often, that's what this article kind of made me wonder, how often the different mapping services go in and update their imagery, and, you know, basing it between satellite imagery and on the ground imagery, how that might change what you see. So it looks like we've pulled up Google Maps, and currently Black Lives Matter Plaza, it looks like it's been renamed. The street has, but the area of the street where the text is painted is not currently shown on Google Maps. So yeah, I don't know, Matthew, this kind of just made me wonder how often these things are updated and sort of what goes into that. It had me more curious about the process than anything else.
Yeah, I was trying to find it real quick. I do see that Google only does it every couple of years, and maybe Apple is trying to, they might have potentially prioritized this over general updates just to kind of lean into it. And yeah, I'm not going to necessarily call it a troll, but I feel like that is sort of one of the points behind this is putting it right in front of the White House.
Yes, hands
but
down.
I've also seen, I think the mayor of Berkeley is going to do it in Oakland too, which is cool. Which is
really?
where a lot of the protests were. I mean, aside from Ferguson, but that's definitely like my original exposure to it was people walking down the street right over there and things like that. So it's always been very close to home for us here. But that's why I'm glad to see it updated so quickly too, which is cool. It even looks like they used imagery of protesters in it because it's a little bit blurry, but maybe they just got filled it in at what they can.
I'm in the Apple Maps app on my Mac right now, and I am looking at the area. And again, this goes back to what I was saying before about the thing that I kind of find interesting. They don't have a 3D version of that area, which that's right in front of the White House. So I find it kind of interesting that there's not a 3D version. So if you go into Apple Maps and you go into many places in California, you can switch between a 2D sort of topographical view, top-down view of the area, but then you can hit a little button to make it 3D. And upon doing so, it actually shows you the heights of the buildings and things around you and trees and everything. Mm-hmm. And this is also available in many tourist areas. And so I kind of am surprised that the area right in front of the White House does not have a 3D version. Although
like the look around thing?
Look around. No, I'm not talking about look around.
I see, like about the features when you like when you like move 3D. It into from like a top-down view into the angle, you can sometimes see the settings. Exactly. I wonder, I'm not sure. Maybe they're prioritizing this. Yeah, it does say DC is one of the ones that they did with look around. So
yeah, and I wonder if that
maybe that's a troll too, just intentionally not putting it in there. I don't know.
Because in my area, I can switch between 2D and 3D views. But if I go to DC, then unfortunately, it does not show a 3D version. And I kind of would like to see that in a 3D way, I think.
That'd be cool if they even made it like stand out in the street, literally in 3D, even though it's not. Yeah, just like for the effect of it.
Here's what it looks like. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. So this is what I was trying to show before, is that whenever you do the 3D version of this, it's still flat. It doesn't actually show buildings in a 3D format.
Does it do anywhere else in DC? Or I'm curious just because...
That is a good question.
Like, at least seeing photos, they're not very tall buildings. And I feel like Apple generally does that for like large, even though obviously like DC is full of landmarks, just like height wise, it doesn't have enough like contrast to make it impactful. But as opposed to like skyscrapers or something.
It's also still very flat. Because you can tell the difference if I switch to map where they just do the squares. See, now it's 3D.
Yeah, they have them. Okay, that's right.
But what they do in other places is they sort of layer over the top the photos that they've taken of those areas. Interesting. I don't know. This isn't, revelatory in any way. I just find it fascinating to see what has gotten the 3D treatment and what hasn't, and the areas that have. Mapping data is fascinating stuff to me. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, we should,
regardless of what's being played,
talk to people at Mapbox in San Francisco at some point, because that's always been something that was really interesting to me, because I did data visualization for a while. Mapbox, they're like one of the major providers of like how Google Maps you can embed on website. Like Mapbox does a lot of like making the data available and then turning it into a box of tools that the developers can use to make mapping in their apps and stuff like that.
Cool.
But yeah, that's cool.
Let's definitely take a note out of that. Yeah, mapbox.com. Maps and location for developers. Precise location data and powerful developer tools to change the way we navigate the world. Very cool. All right. Let's see what's next. Twitter. Again, this is an interesting thing to me because I had seen some of over the course of the past week or two, folks who are speaking out, standing up, and making their voices heard, seeing them on Facebook, kind of directing their friends and family members to peruse Twitter, even if they don't create an account or don't stick around, to just peruse Twitter because of the way that up to the minute information is shared on that platform, and the way that video and photos and other sorts of media seem to be shared on that platform, and how it differs kind of from Facebook and other services. And so it doesn't surprise me that Twitter has set a new record for app downloads. 677,000 new downloads from around the world on Wednesday. This would be last Wednesday. Today, as we're recording this, is June 8th. So this would have been, what is that, Wednesday the 6th? No, that's not math. Wednesday the 3rd.
Yeah, I wanted to include this just because it's definitely been, it's been interesting seeing new people signing up. And also it's just like by far where all of the stuff is happening in real time, where like I was following a list where you can see stories from journalists from pretty much every city where there was protests. And it's, I saw another story from the Wall Street Journal calling it doom scrolling, where I spent a significant amount of time last week looking for stories to try to share because I wanted to make sure people saw it. And I think I definitely encouraged my parents, even though it's dreadful. And even some of the most horrific videos, I saw, the one video that definitely made a lot of rounds last week has 80 million views and things like that, which is more than people who use the platform apparently. So even though it's not as huge as things like Instagram or even, I couldn't even remember TikTok, but it has just been fascinating to see how much people have been focused on that, and the threads of 400 examples of police violence and things like that. And it's very serious, but it is it's amazing that individuals are able to communicate this and basically keep things accountable. That's the next story too, is from Washington Post, America is awash in cameras, a double-edged sword for protesters and police, because a huge part of it is just video tells the story so much more, and every single person has 4K really high quality footage in their pockets at all times. And so it has been kind of fascinating. It's also, it is interesting how photography has a different impact. I've seen even striking images of police brutality and things like that don't do nearly the same story as a 30-second video, but also the photographs can hold a lot more emotion and power in a single image. But
yeah,
but it's definitely just been I don't want to say a fascinating time, because that's not true, but I think one of the things that's always helpful to think about is just how many people are speaking out and out in protests and things like that can be encouraging, because it does show that Black Lives Matter matters to a lot of people. So that is at least the bright side of what's such an intense time right now.
Yeah. So I saw recently there was I think it was in Tucson, Arizona. There was an ordinance that was updated, and the ordinance that was updated was surrounding the like a police area where you've put up caution tape and things like that. And it was about how people who were not involved in a specific crime or something like that were not going to be allowed past the caution tape, or to be part of the active crime zone. And the ordinance was updated at a time when, you know, we're seeing a lot of, as that Washington Post article and this Twitter conversation takes place, we're seeing, as they say, America is awash in cameras. And all of this, it was interesting to see how the article had kind of taken advantage of this situation to try and make it seem like the ordinance was making it illegal for people to record the police. And
I definitely saw that and didn't know.
You saw that?
It wasn't the case.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that. That is the whole dark side of all of the Twitter mob, basically, is
precisely.
People coming after or misinformation.
I can't stress enough how important it is for people to go and always keep up a level of if not, I don't know that it's necessarily skepticism so much as it is just awareness of human nature and our ability to take a very small seed and turn it into a tree very quickly. And when you do that, you take this small nugget of information and then you run with it. And our brains are very good at taking, you know, these small amounts of data and turning them into sort of something that we start to believe ourselves.
We're very creative.
And yes, we are. We're creative people. And so with that, it's so important to try and do your due diligence. And it was interesting because I saw this and immediately I was like, okay, I'm skeptical. There's the word. Because it flies in the face of our Constitution to make it illegal to record police officers. And so I immediately thought, okay, so if this is true, this is a way to stop the recording of police temporarily, because by the time that person was arrested or fined the $750, I think it was, then a lawyer could come in and say, well, no, this flies in the face of the Constitution, and in that way get it, thrown out. And so it seemed like, okay, maybe this could be true if it was a way to sort of slow people down or stop them temporarily, but it didn't seem like something that was going to stick around. So if that was not the case, then I think that there might be something inaccurate about this. So I went to, because the article itself, it looked like it comes from Tucson.com, TUCSON.com. And by golly, so I'm a journalist by trade. I went to journalism school. I started out as a journalist before I ever became a tech journalist, just a straight up journalist. And so I'm trained in understanding the difference between fact giving and writing with a bent, sort of editorializing. And so much of that article felt editorialized. And so immediately I'm giving it the side eye. So I go and I find, not even from the links that they included in the article, but I went and found the ordinance itself. And in the ordinance, it says, as section 11-70.4, subsection B says, the acts of recording police activity or engaging in constitutionally protected speech alone shall not be considered prohibited conduct under this section. It literally says in the ordinance that you can't say that it is illegal to record the police activity or engage in constitutionally protected speech. And I just think that's so insidious, this writing this in such a way that the message gets spread that they're trying to stop people from recording police officers. And then, yes, you get outrage, but you do also start to send that message around. And then people do start to think, oh, maybe I shouldn't record the police in these situations. Or maybe I heard that it might be illegal. And that is just so, that was so disappointing. So anyway,
it goes so full circle. You're almost like harming yourself at the end because people will stop documenting the things. That's a really good point. I mean, that's definitely may have unretweeted a few things that I had previously retweeted because it is easy to get caught up in things. But I think I also saw other people talking about definitely be critical in what you're sharing. And then if you make a mistake, undo it and tell people you did. Or you don't always have to admit to every single thing, but just don't continue
the size of the
spreading
mistake. That depends. I, for example, last week, I think it was, and we're going to get back to everything here in a minute, but this is linked to the conversation as a whole. But someone had suggested that I was doing sort of the bare minimum of what should be done, not knowing anything about me, not knowing any of the donations that I had made.
Don't tell me that.
And the other ways that I had, the other ways that I had spoke up and took action. And this person was sort of criticizing me with memes and things like that about one specific action that I had taken. And I think that they didn't know that I was Black. I want to give them that benefit of the doubt because of the way that they were sort of sending the messages that they were sending. This was a white man who was doing this. And so right? Would you have guessed? So I responded by sort of sharing the message that they had sent and said, as a Black man who woke to see all of these people standing up for this cause and very visually showing that they cared about this cause, it was an important moment for me, and it really did matter. It really did affect me in a positive way, and so I'm glad that people were taking this action. But don't stop here and make sure you do more. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. And I just got frustrated. And I tend to be more Vulcan-minded regularly rather than leading with emotion. And I led with emotion, and so I kind of I may or may not have cursed on Twitter, as I had said that I was really bothered by the fact that this white man was policing my speech. And you know what? At the end of the day, first of all, that person removed their tweets because they realized, oh my God, I was talking. Because in other ways, this person was well-meaning. This person had been, standing up and speaking out and stuff like that. And they realized their misstep and they removed their tweets. And so I ended up removing my message where I said I gave no, what word goes there, about this person policing my speech. Because it was just that was not how I that's not me. And it was just an emotional moment. All of that's to say, it's okay to, I don't even know if that was a mistake necessarily, but it just was not, I didn't feel right about it still being there. So I removed it. And I think that's an okay thing to do. There's no, if you're not a news organization, I think in that case, everything has to be documented. If you want to do what's right by people. I remember working for a news organization where if we made a mistake in a tweet or said something wrong in a tweet, that tweet would be deleted and there would be an update. And then a tweet would go out to say, we deleted this tweet, here's why. And that's the right thing to do. But yeah, in any case, we all are going to make mistakes, and we can learn from them and do better, or we can become defensive and not learn from them. And I know what action I want to take, and I think that many folks want to learn from their mistakes and do better. Okay, let's talk about. Actually, let's take a quick break. Sure. Before we continue on with the show. And I am very excited to talk about my pals at Casper, who are bringing you this episode of Smart Tech Today. Of course, Casper is an online retailer of premium mattresses, that are offered for a fraction of the cost. Their products are cleverly designed to mimic human curves, so you get supportive comfort for all kinds of bodies. Listen, you spend a third of your life sleeping, so you really should be comfortable. Sometimes more than a third, sometimes less than a third. But whatever period of time you spend sleeping, you should be comfortable. And that starts, of course, with the original Casper mattress, which combines multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface with the right amount of sink and bounce. Its breathable design helps you sleep cool and regulates your body temperature throughout the night. And listen, with over 20,000 reviews and an average of 4.8 stars across Casper and Amazon and Google, Casper is becoming the internet's favorite mattress. Certainly is my favorite mattress. Now, Casper does offer 3 other mattresses. There's the Wave, the Essential, and the Hybrid. The Wave has a patent-pending premium support system to mirror the natural shape of your body. The Essential offers a streamlined design at a price that won't keep you up at night. And the Hybrid, it combines the pressure relief of the award-winning foam with, you guessed it, durable yet gentle springs. Springs are back and better than ever. Casper also offers a wide array of other products like pillows and sheets, which I have and love, to ensure an overall better sleep experience. So with Casper pillows and Casper sheets and Casper bed frame, the Casper mattress itself, I've got so much Casper stuff, and that's because, and those are things that I have actually purchased. It wasn't something that Casper sent me, because I love what Casper has to offer. It genuinely changed my life because a third of my life is sleep, and it changed the way I sleep. Therefore, it changed my life. Casper is wonderful, and its products are so comfortable, so great. And listen, there's that fear of, oh, golly, what if I get this mattress and I don't like it? Well, don't worry about it. You can be sure of your purchase with Casper's 100-night risk-free Sleep On It trial. Casper also offers free shipping and painless returns to the U.S. and Canada. So if you don't like it, although I think you're going to, but if you don't, no problem, just send it back. You can get a Casper mattress today. You can save $100 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/STT and using the code STT at checkout. That's $100 off select mattresses by going to casper.com/STT and entering the code STT at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Our thanks to Casper for sponsoring this week's episode of Smart Tech Today. All right. There's an excellent article now over on iMore. And it talks about everything you can do with voice control on iPhone and iPad. Voice control is an incredibly powerful tool that is an accessibility tool, but one that can be used by anybody to offer some incredible control over their device just using their voice. Think about it as an extension almost of what you're used to with Siri. Matthew, you've been kind of talking to me about voice control for a while and sort of saying, hey, listen, you've got to check this out. You got to see all the different things that voice control can do. Have you been using voice control, and what are some of the commands or actions that it does that you find are helpful?
Yeah, definitely. I don't always use it, but I have it set on the accessibility trigger, where if you hit the power button 3 times, you can set it to turn on an accessibility setting or show a menu of those. So it's a pretty handy way to set your iPad or iPhone up, and then you can use it without having to reach up and touch the screen. That was definitely part of the appeal. It's a little not as necessary sometimes for me since I got the Magic Keyboard with the trackpad, but I like to use voice control just because constantly being in the same position and reaching forward and using your hands and things like that isn't always good for you. But it's also one of those things that's just incredibly cool that we can do this, and feels like it's it's not, since it's not necessarily practical to people or people might not think it's practical in their daily lives. I think it kind of didn't get as well known, but you can really, once you turn on voice control, you can say things like go home or tap home or things like that, or tap notifications, and it will automatically scroll to there. So iMore went through the whole list of options that you have and put them in an article, because that's one of the things is it's just buried like 10 menus deep inside the settings app. So chances are you've never seen it or you've never known that any of this was possible. And I guess another thing to mention too is that it does use attention. So with the iPads and iPhones all having the Face ID cameras on them, it can tell when you're looking at the screen and whether or not you're issuing voice commands to the iPad or talking to somebody else, something like that, which is cool. But one of the most useful things is to have it, you ask it, show me what to say, because I think that's one of the things in general that I've learned with doing tons of Siri shortcuts and voice commands is at a certain point you just forget what options you have available to you as commands. And so it'll like highlight on the screen. Or another thing you can do is say show grid. And so it'll put like numbers 1 through 20 in different spots across the screen. And then you can say like 3 and it'll zoom into that spot. And then you say 1 and it'll go to the top left of that spot. So, and it'll like click for you and things like that. So it's pretty neat. Like I'm trying to figure out more ways to use this in my daily life. I keep my iPad like on my desk in like a little mount thing. And I like to switch in between keyboards and the trackpad, but I actually use a Logitech mouse, which doesn't do very good. I don't know. It's just sort of the gestures on the iPad are meant for trackpads. And so when you use a mouse, it's sort of weird sometimes. So I want to find better like hands-free ways to open a YouTube video and start playing the latest thing without having to, I mean, of course, shortcuts is another way, but it's kind of like, if you can't do it in shortcuts, you probably could figure out the right steps of commands for opening there with voice control. It's pretty neat. I definitely recommend people check it out.
The cool thing too is that it's not just available on iPad and iPhone. It's also available on the Mac. So if you do have a Mac, and in fact, Apple did a really cool video not too long ago showing someone editing video on the Mac using voice control. Apple really does put accessibility control very top of mind in everything that it does. And I think that it was a complete redesign and retooling of voice control on the Mac that they recently did. But with that came so much more control that you can do on those devices too. And I don't know, seeing that is just kind of, it's inspiring. And it does give you some ideas of different things that you can do. And so, I could see if I had my device kind of far away from me and I wanted to quickly make a change or adjust something, just using my voice to do so is very cool. And then the fact that attention is available so that if I'm over here talking to you, it doesn't think that I'm talking to it about whatever
closing
the
apps.
Is.
Yeah, exactly.
Sending messages to people. And I'm like, no, that wasn't for them. Very cool stuff. Let's see. So this is something that I want every single online streaming service to offer, and I don't know why everybody hasn't gotten with the program. There are third-party tools that you can use, but by golly, the first services to do this really are the heroes. And I should say, I know why. There's all sorts of licensing agreements and things like that come into play. But with that said, Plex and Hulu have both added group watching features. This is the thing that I think everybody should add to their feature set of different ways to allow you to watch shows together without having to use third-party tools. Like I had to open Google Chrome and install Netflix Party, I think it's called,
in order to
do. Yes, thank you. In order to do the Netflix group watching experience. And I don't know. I don't want to download more tools to make it work and oftentimes, like, I remember it being very difficult to figure out how exactly to use Netflix Party. And I think that if it's a first party system or feature rather, I think that it's more likely to work well.
Yeah, it's like Hulu's gotten by everybody has to be on the ad-free plan. So it is like you can't just share a link with somebody who doesn't have Hulu. It's kind of like you can watch Hulu together if you both have it, but not if you're sharing the same account, probably. Because I feel like that's the person who I would watch it with. It was the person who's supplying us with the account, so it doesn't exactly work there. And theirs is also on the web only. Like that's the problem with Netflix Party. It's like a Chrome extension. But Plex is doing it in a cool way because they have their own service system that you can get through. And whether or not you obtain, in theory, you obtain those movies all legally and not from the back of the truck. But basically with anybody on iOS and tvOS, which is at the Apple TV operating system, can queue up and like even wait together as the movie buffers for people and then start it all at the same time. So that's pretty neat. Like I've gone through a up and down relationship with Plex because it seems like it's like the best service for what it does, which is give you a way to watch your own videos and things like that. But just trying to manage the playlists or get it to even work the way you want it is like needlessly complex, or even like random bones to pick are like their documentation is like buried in weird layers of like it's just like not clear on how to find it. And there's tons of people who are like, just use Plex. And then everybody else is like, I don't know how, but it's a pretty cool, it is like a nice service. And I have it for any like video courses that I've purchased. If anybody wants to watch some tutorials together with me or something like that. But I put my own videos in it also because I like to watch my YouTube videos on my iPhone, because to me, that's where like 50% of the people are going to be watching it. And so I just want to like understand it and even hear it from my phone speakers, because that's my problem, is mixing audio sometimes is tricky. So if anybody wants to, I don't know, pre-watch my videos and give me feedback using Plex, I have Frameo for that. But yeah, it's nice. Like I could see watching home videos with my brother or something like that.
Frameo. So I've always said, and I like your way better. I always said Frame.io, and I like Frameo. That sounds so much cooler.
I don't know. I used to say I always say Duet Display instead of Duet Display, the one that lets you put your iPad. Because I don't know why. Like, I'm French, and so yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't know. And then they were like, I think I asked them on Twitter, and they were like, no, and I was like, okay, I'm dumb.
Oh, I don't care. Frameo sounds much cooler than Frame.io. I sound like a robot. There's another tool out there. It's called Scener, SCENER.com. And Scener actually partners with streaming services. HBO and Netflix are two, and lets you sync and watch shows together, along with actually syncing your video. So, and by video, I mean webcam video. Wow. So you can use video chat.
Still Chrome though. Oh wait.
Yeah. There is that caveat of it needing to be Chrome. But what I like is that they're actually partnered up with these different accounts or these different services, as opposed to sort of trying to overlay things. And so it just feels a little bit different, where it adds to the experience. So yeah, you will still need to have a Chrome browser, use a computer, that kind of thing. So it's not, a perfectly elegant solution, but I do like that it's there and available to do that.
I have a quick question, Mikah, and maybe we can cut this if it's not relevant, but do you know if I would get in trouble from Apple for live streaming WWDC as it's happening? I feel like I would, but I've seen some people do something, or like their reaction and stuff as it's happening.
That's the argument, is that if you are streaming it and there's commentary, then it fits within fair use. But if you are planning on posting that to YouTube, you're going to have trouble. You would need to host it differently.
Interesting.
YouTube's going to take it down.
Fair.
YouTube will destroy it.
YouTube will destroy it, and it will try to destroy you. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next piece. I'm getting distracted by Scener now. I'm going to have to give that a try later. Yeah. See how that works.
There's some apps like Squad too and other things that I've seen let you use like screen sharing somehow on iOS to watch videos together. So it is more interesting. I feel like. Yeah, exactly. It's like I already got everybody to go into House Party. Trying to get everybody to sign up for Squad also is like
exactly. That's the trouble. As all these different services are like, go here, download this, do a backflip, and then do a barrel roll, and nobody wants to do all that stuff. That's what makes it difficult. And I wish that there was an elegant solution. I mean, even the Hulu solution is not a great solution because everybody has to have the paid version of the service. Yeah. The extra paid version of the service, which is what I have because I'm extra. And I hate ads so much. All right, let's move on to the next one. So smart grills. Let's talk about smart grills. Why?
That's pretty much when I found this article, I said to my girlfriend, I wouldn't buy a smart grill, but I would use one because
I don't think I understand grills. That's my problem. It's not the smart grill. It's what is if I have a stove and an oven and an indoors and a bug-free zone and an allergen-free zone, what is the benefit of going outside and cooking meat in a different place from where I normally cook meat?
I mean, I don't think I'm prepared to comment on the intricacies of grilling versus ovens, but it's like part of it is it's enclosed, so the heat stays and cooks it from all sides, and it burns it quicker on the outside, so you like sear stuff.
Yes,
I mean, I think the smart grill. Heat up.
Sorry, we got to do back and forth here. So here's my first contention. We're doing Lincoln Douglas debate now. Contention 1, I can replicate this experience indoors. I can take a hot pan and I can sear the steak on one side, flip it over, sear it on the other side. And then in my stainless steel pan, I take that and I put it in my oven and I cook it the rest of the way. So the Maillard reaction happens to the outside of the meat and it properly cooks the internals of it. So you get the crispy, alleged deliciousness of steak, which I hate, but that's an aside. And you get a fully cooked piece of meat. What's the point of having another oven outdoors whenever? I understand smokers are a whole different thing, but this I just don't get grills. I just don't get charcoal grills.
I think maybe that's the benefit of I think that's the benefit of the smart grill is like you can do a smoke variety where it like you keep it at a certain temperature for a certain amount of time and it'll generate more smoke. So I think that's why I shared this, is because it did seem like the original versions of this were like, we put it in an app in your grill so you can check it with your phone, and like they did what was like the basic version, but now you can actually like control the temperature from your phone and things like that. And like check on it. I mean, first of all, like you saying you don't like the taste of steak is probably why you don't like grills, because there's probably something related down the line of the food that you cook. I mean, I don't know. I didn't come here to say like.
I know you didn't. I'm sorry. No one has been able to properly explain to me the point of a grill when you have a perfectly serviceable option indoors.
I have a terrible oven. So like even just like thinking about, I don't know if nowadays it makes sense because of like June ovens or whatever. Like you buy that type of thing and it can replace everything. But even in the house that I live in, which is over 100 years old, we have like a gas oven that's not very good in the stove. And even a major thing is we don't have proper ventilation anywhere. So like I made sausages the other night and we had to bring in a fan and point it out the window and turn it on at full blast. And so like, maybe at least originally it was just like a way to cook at really high temperatures inside without because you just like don't need to ventilate it when it's outside. But maybe I'll do more grill research.
Yeah, someone. I just
there's got to be like grill YouTube or something where it's like
oh
deep
my god, I bet there is grill YouTube.
Hey guys, what's up? Here's the latest grill news of the week.
Oh my god, grill tech today. Somebody's gonna come. Someone's gonna have an. You know what? I actually welcome the email. I want to be convinced of the necessity of a grill.
Maybe Weber can send them to us and we can experiment and learn for ourselves.
Yeah, and yes. So Burke in the chat is saying Texas barbecue explains itself, and I should note I'm from Kansas City, Missouri area. Kansas City barbecue, which is superior to Texas barbecue.
But barbecue isn't grilling.
Is yeah. See, like smoker stuff, I understand, and like all day barbecuing, I understand. There are very specific tools for doing that. I'm talking about your average everyday. Go buy that weird capsule shaped thing that has the charcoal grill style. I can't even think of what it's called, that you put outside and you throw some charcoal into it and then you cook it over the. I don't see how you often end up with like a dry hunk of what used to be muscle protein. And oh boy. Anyway, somebody maybe will be out there who can explain it to me. And then I'm going to end up with a stinking charcoal grill and I'm going to be upset, but
or you're going to love it. And
yeah, I'll finally understand the point of that. For folks who are listening and not watching, Kevin pulled up a good old classic charcoal grill. It just defies logic in my mind. Maybe it's just one of those things we want to return to yesteryear. You know what I mean? It's like
vinyl, the crackling sound of the grill.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it is. It's like vinyl. The vinyl
just hipsters in their grills, you know. Like.
Hipsters in their grills, yeah. Because we have superior tools to cook food now. I don't know why. And I will say this too. If you're camping, again, I totally understand it. That's a situation.
Just a microwave.
If you're camping, good. But okay, we should move on. I don't know how long we've been even going now, but probably a long time. Somfy, if that's even how you pronounce it, the outdoor security camera it has been updated to support Apple's HomeKit platform. So again, I think it's very important to note that upon updating your device, if it's a webcam specifically, it changes the firmware in such a way that it provides a more private experience that lets you completely disconnect from the servers of the given company. And so for folks who are looking for a really locked-in solution and a far more private solution, this is a great option to look for a camera that has HomeKit Secure Video available on it. So I'm glad that there are more cameras that are adding this. And I have to say, this Somfy camera is really pretty.
Yeah, it looks nice. And this is for European markets only, so trying to just like keep up to date on how much it's spreading out, because it's not just US. Like now there's definitely a couple companies that people can choose from, but it also has like outdoor sirens and things like that of capable of up to 110 decibels. So that sounds like it would do the trick.
Almost as loud as me complaining about barbecue grills.
Yeah, it's another nice HomeKit outdoor security camera.
I have to say that I am pumped. One of my biggest complaints about Philips Hue bulbs that other smart bulbs do not have, that I have not complained about with other smart bulbs, is the lack of brightness that the bulbs provide. So for example, LifeX bulbs, I think, come in at in most cases, a minimum of 800 lumens. And on the whole, the Philips Hue bulbs that I have had are a maximum of 800, or if that. Some of them are 600, 700. They started out really, really low, and over time they have gotten brighter, but not incredibly bright. But now, tell me the good news, Matthew. Preach the good news to me.
Their Philips Hue is going to double it to 1600 lumens, which is always
1600.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So ability to go twice as bright. And this is one of those things that before I started the show, I did not recognize that I was in the cave having my reality be cast upon by what I knew and not what was really true about the light outside. Sorry, that's allegory of the cave reference for anybody. But it was truly like I had only ever gotten Hue lights, which I still love because they're just completely solid. And like, especially for indoor lamps and things like that, I'd say most of the time they're like fine. But I think it was one of those things that it wasn't until I got something that was much brighter that I was like, oh, I see. Like, sometimes I am kind of like, I can't totally see over there because it's not incredibly bright. Like, one of the downsides about lights that get too bright is that if you can see them directly, it can kind of be blinding. Like, my LifeX light strip, great for lighting up the wall behind me. But if you come into my office, you just see like the bright LEDs. But this is definitely good because, I mean, one of the things I'm not looking forward to is replacing Hue bulbs because I already have so many. And part of it is that I want them to last forever. But I can see for a couple key spots, just like in the kitchen and stuff like that. Or it's always driven me crazy. My parents' house, they have I don't remember what the type of bulb is that lights up and then it slowly gets brighter over time. And that was always in the hallway. And I was like, that's doesn't make sense because by the time it's bright, I'm already through the hallway. Like I need brightness immediately.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this is good to see from you. It's like kick it up a level. And that's sort of like, I don't know. I haven't like I don't generally recommend like any specific products most of the time, but like Hues are like in there, but now it's definitely a lot better buy. And we should also know these aren't out yet, but it is.
Yeah, so they're gonna go on sale first in Europe, and then at some point you have to imagine they're going to come to the U.S. So when they are, you better believe that I will be getting at least one to try. They're not currently offered in the multicolor option, of course. I think to me that's an of course. But I also use because they're kind of two brands of standard LED bulbs, not smart LED bulbs, that folks really like. And now I can't think of the one. I think it starts with a C, and it is the most common, or it's often the most recommended, but I wish I could remember it now. But the other are the Philips, not Philips Hue, but Philips LED bulbs. And I have those in areas throughout my house where I don't have smart bulbs. I use Philips LEDs. And in fact, my overhead fans, because there's a fan unit in each of the living spaces, so the 2 bedrooms and the dining room area all have fan units that have 3 light fixtures. And all of those light fixtures have Philips candelabra style bulbs. Nice. Not smart, but just regular one. Yeah. And so Philips on the non-smart area, they have very bright bulbs, and I think they're fantastic. And even I've got some non-standard lights in my home where they are like ballast lights, and they were fluorescent before. And in my kitchen, it resulted in whenever you would turn on the lights, because there were about 6 different in-ceiling, I don't even know what to call them, fixtures, but they're it's recessed lighting, and each of them had a fluorescent bulb, and whenever you turned it on, it'd make this horrible buzz.
Yeah, exactly. I can't stand that
time. And so whenever I first moved in, and the person was doing the walk around with me, and I'm saying, oh, that scratch is there, let's mark that down so I'm not getting charged for that kind of thing. He turned on the lights, and I asked him, is that going to be like that forever? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, I'm not doing that. So I already, anytime I move into a place, I replace any non-LED bulbs with LED bulbs because it saves so much electricity by doing so. But it took me a while to find the right bulbs for it. But when I did, now, of course, it's super quiet and they're so much brighter than the fluorescent bulbs that were there before. And so I love those bulbs. I'm looking up to see what the other brand was so that I can talk about it, because it is, I don't want to just glaze over that.
Is it another type of LED?
Cree.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
CREE are the other popular bulbs. Cree bulbs have very good quality of light. What's the word I'm looking for? Accuracy. And so these bulbs have
temperature.
Yeah, exactly. They are true to their word, so to speak. Although I'm seeing there aren't as many Cree lights as there once were, which is interesting to me. I wonder if they've changed their brand name. But yeah, Cree lighting is often put above many of the other brands for offering very good lighting and good quality. Good quality lighting. So yeah, that's I have those, and I have Philips bulbs as my kind of go-to non-smart bulbs in the places where I use those. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our project this week. Before we round things out with the picks of the week. But actually, before we get to the project, I want to go ahead and take a quick break. I think it's good break time now. And tell you about, good golly, do I love ExpressVPN, who are bringing you this episode this week. Look, there may be times when you hop online and you're looking for something and, okay, so think about this. I can think of many a situation where I have been having a conversation with someone, and maybe we're watching a show and something terrible happens in the show. And of course, you're meant to suspend your disbelief, but you still want to know, like, okay, if I were to catapult a goat off the side of a castle rampart and it hits a group of enemy soldiers, would that really do that much damage? And so then you realize, oh golly, I need to look up like goat launching physics or something like that. And you immediately go, I don't really know if I want my ISP knowing that I'm looking up goat launching physics, or maybe something embarrassing that you really just don't want anybody else to know about. And, in the moment, it makes sense that you're looking this thing up, but just from an outsider's perspective, it's not something that you want people to know about. Yeah, I'm sure you've had those moments. And, you're probably thinking, just use incognito mode. Just use private mode. Just use one of those modes. Well, guess what? Incognito mode does not hide your activity. It doesn't matter what mode you use or how many times you clear your browsing history, because your ISP, your internet service provider, can still see every single website you've ever visited. And that's why, even when I'm in the comfort of my own home looking up goat launching physics, I never go online without using ExpressVPN. It doesn't matter if you get your internet from Verizon or Comcast or Xfinity or any other local ISP. ISPs in the US can legally sell your information to ad companies. ExpressVPN is an app that reroutes your internet connection through its secure servers so your ISP can't see the sites you visit. ExpressVPN also keeps all of your information secure by encrypting 100% of your data with the most powerful encryption available. Most of the time, and this is one of the reasons why ExpressVPN is so great, I don't even realize I have it on. It works seamlessly in the background, and it's super easy to use. All you have to do is tap one button and you're protected. It's available on all your devices, phones, computers, even your smart TV. So honestly, there's no excuse for you not to be using it. you should be using ExpressVPN, and know that I love ExpressVPN because of its trusted server technology. Whereas a lot of VPNs store your browsing history for a period of time on its servers because that's just the nature of the beast. ExpressVPN uses RAM to run its servers. And so because of the nature of RAM, meaning that when the power is lost from that RAM, then the memory goes away, it means that they don't have the ability to store your information, your browsing information, even for a small period of time. ExpressVPN is truly a virtual private network where privacy is so just fundamental to what it does. So you can protect your online activity today with the VPN rated #1 by CNET and Wired. And of course, visit our exclusive link, expressvpn.com/STT, and get 3 months free, an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/STT. Head to expressvpn.com/STT to learn more. I can't stress enough how incredible ExpressVPN is. Genuinely the best virtual private network I've ever used, and one that I can use regularly without going, I'm not going to get my normal download speeds. I'm not going to be able to watch shows. No, ExpressVPN, excellent. Thanks so much for sponsoring this week's episode of Smart Tech Today. I wanted to talk about a project that I have had as part of my set up for a long time, but it's one that I regularly talk about when people ask me kind of, how do I get into the smart home? And more importantly, how do I convince others in my home that there's something to this whole smart home? We, as smart home enthusiasts, are used to the idea of using our voices or using our phones or buttons around the house, or rather not buttons around the house, but using our phones or using the speakers and things that we have around the house to control our smart home. But most people still think of the switches on our walls as the way to control the lighting in our house and make adjustments there. And so it's important that we still provide those standard means of control so that people don't feel out of control in the smart home, not knowing how they can make adjustments to things. And so I love to use, I would say, next to the Philips Hue motion sensor, my second favorite product that I love to use in my home is the Philips Hue dimmer switch. This is it's almost out of stock right now. Other people clearly have got the idea. It's a $24.99, $25. And you would think by looking at it, it's a remote that has a plate that you can fasten on a wall. It's got screws and things like that, or you can stick it. It's got sticky mounts that offers a magnetic installation so that once that plate is fastened to the wall, you can take the remote and remove it from the plate and move the remote wherever you need to, and then stick it back to the plate so that it works as a sort of on-wall switch. And you can see that on the actual remote itself, it has an on switch, an off switch, a brightness up switch, and a brightness down switch. However, those buttons can be added to your HomeKit Home. And in doing so, you can make those buttons work however you want them to work. And so in my home, that is what I choose to do. I use these remotes as a way to provide sort of floor level or room level, depending on where I have them, control of the different lights in my smart home. So on my main floor, I have one of these placed in an area, that's accessible by everyone and is sort of central to the space. And hitting the top button, in this case, the on button, turns on all of the lights in the entire space. And then the second button, the brightness up button, turns on, by pressing that, it just turns on the lights in the living room. And then also turns off the lights in the dining and kitchen area so that it just works as turn on lights in living room. That's all I want to be turned on. The third button will turn off some of the lights for sort of a dimming experience. And then the bottom button is my, okay, time for bed button, and completely turns off all of the lights in that entire space. So with just one switch, I've offered physical control of an entire floor that is easy to understand and easy to master, versus having to use my voice or someone else using their voice to say, turn off all the lights in the living room, turn off all the lights on this floor. What is it that I say again? How to turn off? And by that time, you're frustrated. You don't know what's going on. I hit this button and it works every single time, beautifully, perfectly, without delay. Part of that is because most of the lights in the space are, I would say 97% of the lights in the space are hue lights. And so this communicates directly with the bridge, which then communicates with those lights. So there's not really a delay. But I also have a nanoleaf canvas connected to this system, and I've not had any delay with that either. But the more that, you're sort of working within the same control area, the better the latency is going to be. But despite that fact, I really have not had any issues. It works as it's intended, and it works so well. Then I have one in my master bedroom, and it's just for control in there. And actually, I have not set that one up with HomeKit because I want it to serve in the way that it's designed. The on button will turn on the Philips Hue lights in my master bedroom. And pressing that on button again will cycle between different color temperatures, essentially. I think they call them scenes, but it's essentially just different color temperatures and brightnesses. And the off button, of course, will turn off all the lights. And then the two buttons in the middle actually do serve as brightness controls. It's perfect. It's exactly what I want from because I really don't. I know you're more of a voice first person. I'm not really a voice first person. And so for me, having these physical controls, not only for myself, but for others who, might be in my home, to be able to easily understand how to control the home, I think is incredibly important. And at $25, I think it's a steal. It's a really great product, really well designed, and looks excellent on the wall. And I've had them now for, I want to say 3 years or so, and work just as well as they did on day one.
Nice. I love these. Yeah, I have two of these also. And I did forget that they're $25 because that is that's right in the sweet spot of smart tech stuff that's affordable enough that you're like, yeah, why not? I'll try it out again. Because we have them, we just use those as dimmer switches, as they're designed through the Hue app. So they're not added to HomeKit at all. And they just do we have them for our bathroom lights because we have 3 Hue bulbs up there. And I mean, we did it originally because we had a really old string that we had to pull, and you had to pull it and fling it in order for it to actually work. So that is a very nice, and it's also just I don't know, it's nice to be able to have that automated, when my alarm goes off and I stop the alarm, it can turn on the bathroom light and things like that, which is cool. But then we have one in our kitchen too that's just the same thing of I want to walk into the kitchen and turn on all of the lights right away. But that is smart about setting the scenes for the variety of buttons. I'm tempted to get another one. Do you actually take it off though and use the remote, or do you just
on occasion
press it?
Yeah, most of the time it stays where it is, but on occasion, if I know that I'm going to be kind of lazy and settling in for a while, then I will bring it with me. It's just, of course, important to make sure that it gets back to
in the couches
on the
or
wall.
Something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious. I can't remember. I'm curious if you could probably set up using the home automations feature that when you press the top button, it could turn the scene on, but then also if the scene's already on, it could turn it off. That is one of the benefits or the drawbacks of using it through HomeKit, is that it doesn't have the behavior of I guess that's the same for the dimmer switch no matter what, but for some of the buttons, it's press once, we'll turn on the lights, press again, we'll turn them off. That's not true with the way that you've set it up, but I think you can actually do that with in the shortcut, like convert your home scene into a shortcut that then like can check whether one light is on or not and change the behavior. So that could be an interesting way to like take that to another level and have it reverse those scenes if you need to. But yeah, good nerdiness.
Good nerdiness. So tell me about your pick of the week.
Yes, I've mentioned this a couple times, but I wanted to emphasize it this week because I found this incredibly helpful after doom scrolling on Twitter for basically more than an entire work week of time, which was pretty bad. I was definitely a little not in the most happy spot after some of that. So there was a couple times where I used this just to, like, Endel does soundscapes, and one of the reasons I want to mention it is they added shortcut support. So of course I love that, and the Apple Watch, which is fantastic. Like on the little complication for Endel, it can show you whether or not you're on an upswing or downswing of your circadian rhythm. So it's kind of like if you're currently, depending on how long you've been awake, like you might be on a downswing of your natural body cycles. And so I switched to relax mode during that. And I even like try to do work that's easier. And then on the upswing, switch back into focus mode. Or like another neat thing that I did is I use this with my AirPods Pro with transparency mode on so that I could basically like get ready in the evening and still be able to like interact with my girlfriend. But I was still getting just like, I was like trying to force my brain to relax, even if mentally I wasn't necessarily there. But I just love this app. And I'm not sure if they're still doing, I think they have like a promo code Stay Chill will get you like a free month trial too. But this is just like a good way to take care of yourself, especially when times are rough, and just like take care of your body in addition to your mind and things like that.
Yeah.
What's yours?
I am so excited to talk about this. This is, and I apologize to the company. I pronounced it Satechi, but it kind of makes sense given that it's a tech brand to pronounce it Satechi. So we're going to go with Satechi. Satechi makes the Trio wireless charging pad. It's $120, but it's incredible. I have one here, and it is for folks who are listening. Of course, we'll include a link so you can kind of see it. But first of all, it's made of aluminum, beautiful aluminum, and it's perfectly weighted. It's aluminum and black, and it just fits in with the style of Apple products. And
it's kind of like shaped like a trackpad where it comes to a point on one side.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's got rounded corners. And I've put a little dimmer on or a little pad to cover these lights, but there are 3 LEDs that correspond to the 3 different zones. So with the Satechi Trio wireless charging pad, I place my iPhone here. My AirPods fit in the middle. I thought I had my AirPods with me here so I could show, but they slide into the middle, and this works for both the new AirPods and the former AirPods to kind of drop down into this little bump here. And then my Apple Watch can go laying down, or this actually flips up, and so it can work in nightstand mode, which is how I have it. So that for folks who have an Apple Watch or maybe don't have an Apple Watch and want to know, nightstand mode is this really nice thing where you can kind of sort of tap near the Apple Watch or tap on the Apple Watch and see the time as if it's sort of a nightstand clock. And so I have nightstand mode turned on my Apple Watch, and by flipping it up, then I can see the time, if I were to wake up in the middle of the night and want to know what time it is. And this flips down, like I said, so that, if you choose to want to lay it down instead of doing it in nightstand mode, you can. But it's also USB-C, which is wonderful. And it comes with the cord and everything. And it's got these great big rubber pads on the bottom that hold this thing perfectly in place. There's some heft to it, which is nice. And it's not super sensitive about where to lay down the phone, so you don't have to be overly, oh golly, do I put it? And this is kind of a rubberized ring so that it holds the phone in place. And so my phone goes here, my AirPods go in the middle, and my Apple Watch goes here, and it charges all three overnight perfectly well. And it is so good. It's so good. I love this thing so much. It was actually a listener of iOS Today who told me about this product, and immediately I thought, oh my God, I need to know more, because so Mophie, I want to make this clear. Mophie makes excellent wireless charging products. I love their wireless charging pucks. I love the wireless charging desk stand. However, Mophie made a 3-in-1 charger for your. Actually, I think it was just a 2-in-1. It had it was just a 2-in-1. It had a wireless charging spot for your iPhone, and then a spot to charge your Apple Watch that did not move up and down. It just stayed in place. I thought I had it around here, so I was going to show it off. It just stayed where it was. And the way that they had designed it, the puck for the Apple Watch sort of clicked into place, and it used, I hate them, pogo pins. It used pogo pins, and pogo pins are supposed to be this clever way to provide electrical contact, where the pins sort of have a spring in them, and so you can press down and it sort of presses against the springs, and the springs press up so that a connection is made. Pogo pins fail all the time, and they, in this case, did not provide for a good contact. So I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking that there was a strobe light outside my window, and instead it was my Apple Watch charging, showing that it was charging and then not charging, and then charging and then not charging, and then charging and not charging.
That's actually happening to me, like, because I have the one of those old, it's like, looks like a little Mac, and then when you put the Apple Watch in, the screen looks like it's lighting up the original Macintosh, but it was designed for an earlier version of the Apple Watch, and so now it's thicker. And so, like, if I don't exactly put it in, that'll happen. And that literally happened to me last night, so I know what you're talking about. And
it's so bad for the battery to do that. Charge, not charge, charge, not charge. So there were just all these reasons why I stopped using it and went back to the old style of a multi-port dock thingy that I plugged into the wall, and then it had USB cables running from it to charge my Apple Watch and my phone. And I didn't charge my AirPods in the same room because it didn't make sense to do. But now with this sits on my nightstand, and I put all three there, and I could weep with how lovely it is and perfect. Like I said, the only thing is that these 3 LEDs are, they're white LEDs, and so they were pretty bright. They turn off after a while, but I don't need the indicator to let me know that it's charging, because each of the devices has an indicator to let me know that it's charging. So my product recommendation, my pick of the week a while back, were the light dims, which I can't remember.
I have those now. They just showed up.
And so I put one, I got 2 versions. I got one that the original kind dims it but still shows through. And then there's the complete blackout one. I put a complete blackout on this one because I like my room to be as dark as possible. You could also get a piece of electrical tape and put it over that, or a gaff tape, whatever you want to do. But I recommend covering up those LEDs personally. But other than that, this product, I love it so much. I genuinely, like, everybody who has these 3 devices, a wireless charging version of the AirPods, an iPhone that has wireless charging, and an Apple Watch, you need this thing. It's beautiful. It works perfectly. The design is excellent. And I don't know. I love it. I think they did a fantastic job. And who knew? I had not heard about Satechi in a long time. And when someone had shared this, I thought, oh, I haven't checked in on Satechi in a while. Look at what they've made. And this thing is fantastic. So, nice. $120. We'll include a link to it on Amazon. That's $120 is a lot of money. It's on the pricey side. But if you think about, if you were to buy 3 wireless charging pucks, you're spending round about the same, $30 to $40 per, and that's 3 different devices that you didn't have to plug in. So all-in-one device that charges all 3 of the devices and looks the way that it does and works perfectly and comes with the USB-C, plug-in and everything. It's great.
Nice.
I love it, and I'm happy that I have it. Folks, we have reached the end of another episode of Smart Tech Today. If you'd like to email us, you can do that. It's super simple. It's stt@twit.tv. We, of course, record the show live every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is 4 p.m. Pacific, about 2300 UTC. You can, of course, head over to twit.tv/STT to subscribe so you don't have to tune in live. So that's a fantastic way to get the show whenever it's ready, every time. Super great. So twit.tv/STT, where we've got links to the show in all of its formats, audio, video, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, you can get Smart Tech Today. And we do appreciate you subscribing. Matthew, if folks want to follow you online and check out your awesome work, where do they go to do that?
You can find me at Matt Cassinelli on Twitter. And then also you can subscribe to my newsletter at matthewcassinelli.com/newsletter. And I will be doing some fun stuff there soon. So definitely check that out.
Nice. You can follow me on pretty much all the social media platforms at Mikah Sargent, or head to chihuahua.coffee, Wow, I just forgot how to spell it. CHIHUAHUA.coffee. I was very distracted, which is the page that has links to my different work and different social media places. Of course, don't forget, again, to subscribe to the show. That really does help us, twit.tv/STT. We appreciate it, and we adore all of you out there for subscribing to the show and checking it out. Folks, it is time to say goodnight to your smart assistants. Good night.
Shut it down. Oh, and there goes all the lights in the house.
You have got to quit trolling your girlfriend.
Yeah. I'm going to go apologize to her now.
Hey, I'm Jason Howell, host of Hands on Android, a techie look at how to customize your Android device, as well as take a look underneath the hood and see what's really going on down there. You can subscribe by going to twit.tv/HOA, or you can find Hands on Android in your podcatcher of choice.